Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the Drawn Linear Graphs Practice Questions. If you need any extra help on drawing linear graphs, if you go to Corbettmaths and go to the videos and worksheet section and scroll down to video numbers 186, 187, 192 and 193, there's useful video tutorials there for you. But in this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. Okay, so let's look at question number one. So question number one, we've been given this grid, our x and y axis. And part A says to draw on the grid the graph of x equals 3. So we want to draw the graph of x equals 3 on this grid. So remember with the graph of x equals 3, all the coordinates have an x coordinate of 3. So that'll be the points 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 4.5 and so on. It doesn't just have to be whole numbers, but it has to have an x coordinate of 3. And all those points, as you can see, form this vertical line. So it'll be a vertical line passing through 3 in the x-axis. So that'll be the graph of x equals 3. So let's get a ruler and pencil and let's draw a nice straight line through those points. So it'll look like this. And let's label it, that's x equals 3. And that's it. So we've drawn the graph of x equals 3. So that's part A done. Part B says on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 1. So they're going to be points with a y coordinate of 1. So points such as 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4.51, 5, 1, 5.11 and so on. So it'll be all those points. As you can see, they form this horizontal line passing through 1 in the y-axis. So the graph of y equals 1 will be this horizontal line. So let's get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through those. So it looks something like this. So it'll be the line y equals 1. And that's it. So we've drawn x equals 3 and y equals 1. So that's part A done and part B done. Okay, let's have a look at part C. Part C says, write down the coordinates of where the two lines meet. So as you can see, the two lines, this line x equals 3 and y equals 1 meet here at this point here. And this point here has coordinates 3 along the corridor, 1 up the stairs, so it's going to be 3, 1. So this would be the point 3, 1. 3 along, 1 up, where the x coordinate is 3 and the y coordinate is 1. So let's write that down, 3, 1. And that's it. So that's question number 1 done. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 2. So question number 2 says, here's a table of values for the equation y equals 2x plus 3. So y equals 2x plus 3. And we've got our xy table here, and we've got x equals 0, y equals 3. So that'll be the point 0, 3. X equals 1, y equals 5. So it'll be the point 1, 5, and so on, 2, 7, 3, 9, and 4, 11. And the question says, draw the graph of y equals 2x plus 3 for the values of x from 0 to 4. So all we need to do in this question is plot these points, 0, 3, 1, 5, 2, 7, 3, 9, and 4, 11, and draw a nice line through them. And that's it. So let's do that. Let's plot those points. So as you can see, the axes have been drawn for us. So our first point, 0, 3, so it'll be 0 along, 3 up, will be there. Our next point, 1, 5, so it'll be 1 across, 5 up, so it'll be there. Our next point, 2, 7, so 2, 7 will be there. Our next point, the point with coordinates 3, 9, so 3 along, 9 up will be there. And 4, 11, that'll be 4 across, 11 up would be there. So we've got our points plotted. Now we just need to get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So it looks something like this. So let's line them up. So we've got our first point there, 0, 3, a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. So that will be the graph of, let's label it, y equals 2x plus 3. And that's it. And we'll use the xy table that was completed for us to help us with that question. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 3. Okay, let's have a look at 3a. So 3a says, complete the table of values for y equals 2x plus 4. So here we've got our xy table, and some of it's been completed for us, as you can see, 0, 4, and 3, 10. And we need to fill in these gaps, so that's what we've been asked to do to complete this table of values. So what we need to do is substitute these values of x into here to find our values of y. So let's just check it. If x was equal to 3, we've got 2 times x plus 4. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So that's why that number is 10. This one here, if x is equal to 0, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. Okay, let's do these ones. 2 times x, 2 times 1 will be 2, plus 4, so that'll be 6. Our next one, when x is equal to 2, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8. And as you can see, we've got a pattern here. 0, 4, 1, 6, 2, 8, 3, 10. And as these are straight line graphs, that pattern will continue. So here you can actually just go down and you can just say this is going to be 2. And let's just check it. 2 times x would be 2 times minus 1. That's minus 2 plus 4 would be 2. So that'll be that value, 2. And that's it. We've completed that table of values. Okay, now let's plot these points. Point with coordinates -1, 2, and then 0, 4, 1, 6, 2, 8, and 3, 10. So let's plot these points. Okay, so -1, 2, so -1 is here, and 2 up would be there. 0, 4, 0 along, 4 up would be there. 1, 6, that'll be 1 across, so that's 1 unit across. I'm going to 1 on the x-axis. I'm not going 1 square across, 1 unit across, and up to 6 would be there. 2, 8 would be 2 across and 8 up, which would be there. And 3, 10 would be 3, so 3 along on the x-axis, going to where it says 3, and up to 10 would be there. And as you can see, those points are a nice straight line, so we can get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. We've drawn the graph of y equals 2x plus 4. Let's just label it y equals 2x plus 4. And one thing is, whenever we're plotting our points, as you can see, they made a nice straight line. If there's one which wasn't in line with the others, you might be worthwhile checking that. It's because they should be in a straight line. So if you ever find that there's one not in the straight line with the others, it'd be worthwhile checking that point. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 4. Okay, question number 4, we've got our x-y axis here, we've got our x-axis and y-axis, and part A says, if we go down to part A says plot the point with coordinates 3, 5. So it's going to be 3 along the x-axis, 5 up the y-axis. So 3 across and 5 up will be here. So that's the point there. Let's do a little x for that point. And we need to label it P, so let's label it P. So that would be the point with coordinates 3, 5 there. Okay, now let's have a look at part B. Part B says, does the point P, so the point we just plotted, does it lie on the equation y equals 2x minus 1? We've been asked to explain our answer. So let's write down the coordinates of the point. The coordinates of the point were 3, 5. And that means it has an x coordinate of 3 and a y coordinate of 5. So that means that if we know that x equals 3, if we substitute it into 2x minus 1, we'll hopefully get 5. And if we get 5, that means that the y coordinate is 5. So that means that that point would lie on this line. So if we take the x coordinate and substitute it into the equation, do we get the y coordinate that we need? So let's do that. So if x is equal to 3, so when x equals 3, we'd have 2 times x, that's going to be 2 times 3 minus 1. 2 times 3 is 6, so that's 6 minus 1, and that's equal to 5. So y does equal 5. So that means that if we made our xy table and we had our x equals 3, y would be 5. So that means that if we have a look at our point, this point here would be on the line, y equals 2x minus 1, it would lie on that line. So let's explain that. And that's it, I've just explained that since y equals 5 when x equals 3, the point 3, 5 does lie on the line, y equals 2x minus 1, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our last part, part C. Part C says draw the line with the equation y equals -4. So that means that we're plotting points with a y coordinate of -4. So that means the height is -4. So we go back up to our grid. Okay, let's plot points that have got a y coordinate of -4, or a height of -4. So it'll be 0, -4, 1, -4, 2, -4, -1.5, -4, and so on. And as you can see, all those points will form a horizontal line passing through the y-axis at -4. So that's a bit of a shortcut. If you're asked to draw the graph of y equals -4, you can just go to -4 on the y-axis and do a horizontal line through it. So let's do that. And that's it. So that's the line y equals -4. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 5. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 5. So question number 5, we've got our x and y axis, and part A says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals -2. So we could consider the points with the y coordinate of -2, such as 0, -2, 1, -2, 2, -2, 0.5, -2, and so on. And you'd realize that those points make a horizontal line passing through the y-axis at -2. Or we could just use the shortcut that if we want to draw the graph of y equals -2, we go to the y-axis and -2, and we draw a nice horizontal line through that. So it'd look like that. So that'll be the line y equals -2. Okay, part B. So B, we've been asked to complete the table of values for y equals 3x plus 1. So we want to complete this table of values for 3x plus 1. So to find the y coordinate, we do 3 times the x coordinate plus 1. So we want to multiply all those numbers by 3 and then add 1. So 3 times 2 is 6, add 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, plus 1 is negative 2. And then if we have a look at these values, we can check them. As you can see, we're going down by 3, going down by 3, and going down by 3. So that's quite nice. And then finally, part C. Part C says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 3x plus 1. So we've completed the table of values. We now need to plot these points. So negative 1, negative 2, 0, 1, 1, 4, and 2, 7. So let's plot these points. So first of all, negative 1, negative 2. So negative 1, then going down to negative 2 would be there. 0, 1, so 0 across, 1 up would be there. 1, 4, 1 across, and 4 up would be there. And finally, 2, 7, so 2 across, 7 up would be there. So we've plotted those 4 points. You can see they're in a nice straight line, so that's fantastic. That sort of reassures us that we've got the points right. And now we just need to draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. That would be the line y equals 3x plus 1. And that's it. So we've drawn that graph. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 6. Okay, so question number 6a says, complete the table of values for y equals a half x plus 1. So we've got our xy table. We've been asked to complete that table for y equals a half x plus 1. So to find the y coordinate, we're going to do half of the x coordinate and then add 1. So we need to half all these values and then add 1. So a half of 4 is 2, then add 1 will be 3. Half of 3 would be 1.5, and then add 1 would be 2.5. Half of 2 would be 1, add 1 would be 2. Half of 1 would be 0.5, add 1 would be 1.5. And finally, half of 0 is 0, add 1 would be 1. So we've completed our table, and we've got the coordinates of the points. So 0, 1, 1, 1.5, 2, 2, 3, 2.5, and 4, 3. And then part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals a half x plus 1. So we now want to plot these points on our grid. So let's do that. So our first point has got coordinates 0, 1. So 0, 1 would be there, 0 across, 1 up. Our next point has got coordinates 1, 1.5. So 1 would be there, 1 across, and then 1.5 up would be there in the middle of 1 and 2. 2, 2, 2 across, 2 up would be there. 3, 2.5, so going across to 3, and then up to 2.5 would be there. And finally, 4, 3, 4 across, 3 up would be there. So we've now got our points, now we just need to draw a nice straight line through them. So let's get our ruler and pencil. And draw a nice straight line through those points. So it looks something like that. And then I've just labelled it y equals a half x plus 1. And that's it. Okay, so let's look at our next question, question number 7. So question number 7a says, complete the table of values for y equals negative 2x plus 11. So to find the y coordinate, we need to take the x coordinate, multiply by negative 2, and then add 11. Now some of them will be done for us, so actually that might be quite useful whenever we're completing this table. So let's work these out. So let's start off with this one here, whenever the x coordinate is equal to 4. So negative 2 times x, negative 2 times 4 would be negative 8, plus 11. So if you're at negative 8 and you got up 11, you get to 3. If we have a look here, we've got 1, 3, 5, 7. That's a linear graph, which means a straight line graph. So it's just going to then be 9 and 11. So that should be 9, and then that should be 11. And let's just check it. Negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2, plus 11 would be 9. And 0, negative 2 times 0 is equal to 0, plus 11 will be 11. So that's it. We've completed our table of values. Okay, and then if we look at part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals negative 2x plus 11 for the values of x from 0 to 5. So in other words, we just need to plot these points and then draw a nice straight line through them on this grid. Our first point has got coordinates 0, 11, so 0, 11 will be there. And then 1, 9 will be 1 across 9 up will be there. 2, 7, 2 across 7 up will be there. 3, 5, 3 across 5 up would be here. 4, 3, 4 across 3 up would be there. And finally 5, 1, 5 across 1 up would be here. So we've plotted our points and they're in a nice straight line, so we just need to get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. That would be the graph of y equals negative 2x plus 11. So that's it. We've drawn that graph. Okay, so question number 8a says, complete the table of values for y equals 6x minus 7. And we've got our xy table, and we've got our values of x going negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And we want to find the y values, so we need to multiply all these x values by 6 and then take away 7. So let's start off with the positive values. 6 times 3 is 18, take away 7 will be 11. If x is equal to 2, 6 times 2 is 12, take away 7 will be 5. Next one, 6 times 1 is 6. Take away 7 will be negative 1. And if we have a look here, we're going down by 6 and going down by 6. So then it should be negative 7, negative 13, and negative 19. So let's just check and see if they're right. 6 times 0 is 0. Take away 7 will be negative 7. 6 times negative 1 would be negative 6. Take away 7 would be negative 13. And finally, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Take away 7 is negative 19. So we've got our points. Negative 2, negative 19. Negative 1, negative 13. 0, negative 7. 1, negative 1. 2, 5, and 3, 11. And that's it. And then if we look at part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 6x minus 7. So let's plot our points on the grid below. Okay, so our first point has got coordinates negative 2, negative 19. So negative 2 is here, negative 19. Let's just check our scale here. We've got 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So each of the little lines is 1 as we go down. So then here would be for negative 2, negative 19, we'll go to negative 2. Negative 15, negative 16, negative 17, negative 18, negative 19. So the one before negative 20, so it would be there. So that's it there. Negative 1, negative 13, so negative 1, and then negative 13, we're at negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13 will be there. Next one, 0, negative 7, so 0, negative 7, so that's negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, so there, just 2 below the negative 5. 1, negative 1, so 1 across and then 1 down will be there. 2, 5, so 2 across and 5 up will be there. And then finally, 3, 11 will be 3 across, 11 up. So it's 10, 11, 1 above that. And that's it, we've plotted those points. And then a nice straight line. So let's get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. And that's it. So that would be the graph of y equals 6x minus 7. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 9. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 9. So question number 9 is complete the table of values for y equals 6 subtract 4x. And we've got the table of values here. We've got the values of x going from negative 1 up to 3. And we've got some values of y. We've got a y coordinate here of 2. So whenever x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2. And whenever x is equal to 3, the y coordinate is equal to negative 6. And let's just check this one. If x is equal to 1, we would do 6 subtract 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4, so we would do 6 subtract 4, and 6 subtract 4 is equal to 2. Now this is a calculator question, but if you were to do it without a calculator, you would do, the next one would be 6 subtract 4 times x. Well, 4 times 2 is equal to 8, so we've got 6 subtract 8, and 6 subtract 8 would be negative 2, so that point there would be negative 2. 0, 6 subtract 4 times 0, 4 times 0 is 0, so we've got 6 subtract 0 is going to be equal to 6. And then finally, negative 1, we'd have 4 times negative 1, which is negative 4. Then we've got 6 subtract negative 4. Now 6 subtract negative 4 would be 6 plus 4, which is equal to 10. Also, we can just check if we had negative 6 to 2, we're going up by 4, we're going up another 4, up another 4, and up another 4. So that's how you could do it without a calculator. Now, if we've got a calculator, we could just type them in. So for this one here, whenever x is equal to 2, we could do 6 subtract 4 times 2, and that's equal to negative 2. We could do, our next one would be 6 subtract 4 times 0, and that's equal to 6. And here, if x is equal to negative 1, we could do 6 subtract 4 and times negative 1, and that's equal to 10. So that would be equal to 10. So you can just type them in that way. Also, we could use the table function on our calculator. So if I wanted to complete this table of values for y equals 6 subtract 4x on my calculator, I could go here into function and press the function button and scroll down to define f of x. That just means we're going to type in our function. So f of x, that's just going to be our y. So we've then got 6 subtract 4x. So we're going to type in 6 subtract 4, and then here we've got our x here, so we can just press x and then press the exe. So we've now entered our graph, our y equals 6 minus 4x into our calculator. So if we then press here home and go to table, so there, table, and choose it. And then here if we choose our values for x, so from minus 1 to 3, we can then type in minus 1, press 0, type in 1, type in 2, and type in 3. And as you can see, we've got our values there. Whenever x is equal to minus 1, f of x or our y is equal to 10. We've got here, whenever x is equal to 0, f of x or our y is equal to 6, 2, negative 2, and negative 6. So there's our values. And that's it. So we've used that table of values. And then if you've got a calculator like this one here, you can just press menu and then scroll across the table, f of x, that's our 6 minus 4x, and our x is here in red, so we're going to press alpha and then close brackets, and that gives us the x, and press equals. And we don't need a g of x, we just need our f of x, which is our graph, our y equals 6 minus 4x. Start will be -1. Our end will be 3, that's our values of x, 3, and our step is 1, what we're going up in. And as you can see here, we've got our table of values as well, so -1, 10, 0, 6, and so on. So in terms of this table, we could work it out, actually just working it out without a calculator. We could type them in one at a time into our calculator, or we could do the table on our calculator. Okay, so then part B. Part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 6 minus 4x for the values of x from -1 to 3. So we need to plot these points. The points -1, 10, 0, 6, 1, 2, 2, -2, and 3, -6. So let's do that. Okay, so let's start off with -1, 10. So -1, 10, -1, and then up to 10 will be there. 0, 6, so 0, 6 will be there. 1, 2, 1 across 2 up will be there. 2, -2, 2, -2 will be there. And then 3, -6, 3, -6 would be there. So we've plotted our points. And then get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. And that's it. So that would be the graph of y equals 6 subtract 4x. That graph there. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 10. So question number 10a says complete the table of values for x plus y equals 6. And we've got our table of values here, our xy table, 0 blank, 1 5, 2 blank, 3 blank, and 4 blank. And we need to complete this table. So in terms of this one, it's a little bit different than the ones before, because the ones before we've had y equals, so we've had things such as y equals 2x minus 1, where we times them all by 2 and then subtract 1. But this time we've just been given x plus y equals 6. So then the x coordinate plus the y coordinate is equal to 6. So in other words, this number plus this number would be equal to 6. This number plus this number, as you can see, is equal to 6, and so on. So it's actually a bit easier. So if the x coordinate is equal to 0, we've got 0 plus y is equal to 6. So y would have to be equal to 6. The y coordinate would be 6. We've then got 1, 5. It would then be 2, 4, 3, 3, and 4, 2. So we've completed the table of values. And then part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of x plus y equals 6. So let's do that. So first point's got coordinates 0, 6, that's 0 across, 6 up would be there. 1, 5, 1 across, 5 up would be here because 1 across and then 5 up because we've got 4 and 6, 5's in the middle. 2, 4, 2 across, 4 up would be there. 3, 3, 3 across, 3 up would be there. And 4, 2, 4 across, 2 up would be there. So we've plotted those points, we just need to get a ruler and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. So that would be the graph x plus y is equal to 6. Okay, so let's look at our next question, question number 11. So question number 11a says complete the table of values for y equals 8x plus 1. So to find the y coordinate, we're going to multiply the x coordinates by 8 and then add 1. So we're going to multiply all of these numbers by 8 and then add 1. So 8 times 3 is 24, add 1 would be 25. 8 times 2 would be 16, add 1 would be 17. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And as you can see, the numbers are getting bigger by 8 each time, so we can just take away 8, which is 1, take away 8, which is then minus 7, and take away 8, which would be minus 15. And again, we can just check this. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Add 1 means going back up 1, which then be negative 15. And then part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 8x plus 1. So let's plot these points on this graph. So our first one, negative 2, negative 15. So negative 2 is here, negative 15 is then down there. So negative 2, negative 15. Our next one, negative 1, negative 7. So negative 1's here, negative 7. So we've got negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. So there. 0, 1, so 0 across, 1 up will be there. 1, 9, 1 across, 9 up. So that would be there, just 1 below 10. 2, 17, so 2 across, 17 up. So 15, 16, 17 will be there. And 3, 25, 3 across and 25 up will be there. So now let's just join them up. So get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. So that's the graph of y equals 8x plus 1. Okay, then if we go on down, part C says use the graph to find the value of x whenever y is equal to negative 11. So whenever y is equal to negative 11, that's whenever the height of the graph is negative 11. So if we have a look here, obviously it's going to be below the x-axis. The height here, well, there's negative 10, so negative 11 would be there. So negative 11 would be there. And actually what can be quite useful is if we get a ruler and pencil, draw a line going across at negative 11, y equals negative 11, then that would actually show us then where that line, y equals negative 11, where that actually meets the line that we drew, the y equals 8x plus 1, will show us what point on that graph has a height of negative 11, which would be there. And the coordinates of that point would be, well, it's negative 1.5, because it's in between negative 1 and negative 2, so negative 1.5, and the height is negative 11. So the value of x, actually if we look at it, the question says find the value of x whenever y is equal to negative 11, so that would be negative 1.5, so negative 1.5, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 12. So question number 12 says, complete the table of values for y equals 3x plus 3. So we've got our xy table and we've got the values of x going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we want to find the y coordinates. So to find the y coordinate, we multiply the x coordinate by 3 and then add 3. So if we multiply all these numbers by 3 and then add 3, we can find the values beneath them, the y coordinates. So 3 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 is 9. And as you can see, they're getting bigger by 3 each time, so this should be 12, 15, and 18. And let's just check that. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3 is 18. So yeah, we've completed our table of values. Okay, next, part B. Part B says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 3x plus 3 for the values of x from 0 to 5. So on this grid below, we're going to plot these points. Point 0, 3, 1, 6, 2, 9, 3, 12, 4, 15, and 5, 18. So let's do that. Okay, so 0, 3, so it's 0 across, 3 up, which will be there in between 2 and 4. 1, 6, 1 across and 6 up will be there. 2, 9, so 2, 9, 2 across and 9 up, so it's going to be halfway between 8 and 10, so there. 3, 12, so 3 across and 12 up will be there. 4, 15, so 4 across and 15 up, so we're going to go halfway between 14 and 16, so that'll be there. And finally 5, 18, so 5 across and 18 up, which will be there. So plotted our points now, we just need to draw a nice straight line through them. So get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. So that's the graph of y equals 3x plus 3. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Okay, so let's have a look at question number 13. So question number 13a says, complete the table of values for 4x plus y is equal to 20. So this question is a bit different than the ones we've looked at so far because it again doesn't have y equals, it's got 4x plus y equals. So we can approach this in a few different ways. Now, it is a calculator question, so it might come in handy. So here we've got 4 times x plus y is equal to 20. So that's saying 4 times the x coordinate, so 4 times this number, plus the y coordinate, this number, is equal to 20. So if we had 0, 4 times the x coordinate, so 4 times 0 is 0, plus y is equal to 20. So it means that y would have to be equal to 20. And let's just check that. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 20 is 20. Okay, now if x is equal to 1, 4 times 1 is equal to 4, but we need to add on y to get to 20, so that would be 16, because 4 plus 16 is equal to 20. Now, if x is equal to 2, 4 times 2 is 8, and then we need to add something to get 20, so that'll be 12. Now, if x is equal to 3, 4 times 3 is 12, so 12 plus y is equal to 20, so that would be 8. Now, if x is equal to 4, 4 times 4 is 16. We need to add 4 to get 20, so it'll be 4. And finally, 5, if x is equal to 5, we've got 4 times 5 is 20. We'd add 0 to get to 20. And let's just check, we're going down by 4 each time because this is a straight line. So it's going down by 4, going down by 4, going down by 4, going down by 4, and going down by 4. So we've completed our table of values. So that was one way we could approach that question. Another approach is to make y the subject here. So we had 4x plus y is equal to 20. So the questions we've looked at so far, we've had y equals something. So here what we could do is we could get the y on its own on the left-hand side. So if we want to get the y on its own on the left-hand side, we want to get rid of this 4x. So we're going to take away 4x from the left-hand side of the equation and take away 4x from the right-hand side of the equation. So on the left-hand side, we had 4x plus y. We're taking away the 4x, we're just left with y because we wanted to make it the subject. And on the right-hand side of the equation, we've got 20 subtract 4x. So we've got 20 subtract 4x. So now we've made y the subject. We've got the y coordinate is 20 subtract 4 times the x coordinate. So if we know the x-coordinate is 0, we would do 20 take away 4 times 0. 4 times 0 is 0, 20 take away 0 is 20. And again, it is a calculator question, so we could get our calculator and type that in. We could do, for instance, if x is equal to 4, we could do 20 take away 4 times 4 and press equals, and then that's equal to 4 and so on. Also, we could create the table of values on the calculator. So if we wanted to do y equals 20 minus 4x, we could type that in as a function. So press function, go down to define f of x, type in 20 subtract 4x, and press exe. That's now saved to y equals 20 minus 4x on the calculator. So now we're going to go into our home and go down to table, select it, and then our values for x are, so we want to go from 0 to 5, so we're going to type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see, we've got our values of x being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see, for our values of f of x, which is y, we've got 20, 16, 12, 8, 4, and 0. So in this question, we could just substitute in the values and work out what the value of y would be, or we could make y the subject. I probably in this question would just do 4 times 0 is 0 and then work out that y would be 20 and so on. So we've now got our table of values. We've done part A. Part B says on the grid draw the graph of 4x plus y equals 20. And we're going to plot our points 0, 20. So 0 across, 20 up would be there. Next 1, 16. So 1 across and 16 up would be there. 2, 12. 2 across, 12 up would be here. Next, let's just look at our table again. Next, 3, 8, so 3 across 8 up would be here. 4, 4, 4 across 4 up would be there. And 5, 0 would be there on the x-axis. So we've plotted our points, and now we just need to get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it, that's the graph of y equals 4x plus 20. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 14. Okay, so question number 14a says, draw the graph of y equals 4x plus 2. So in this question, we haven't been given an xy table. So we could create our own, so we could create a little xy table here. And if we look at our grid, we've been asked to draw the graph on this grid. So in terms of the values of x, I would choose values of x from -2 to 2. You don't actually need to choose all of them. I would usually do 3 or 4, probably 4 I would do. But I'm going to do all of them here just on the for this first example. So let's do a little xy table. So x and y. So we've got our xy table here where x is -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So there's our xy table. And it says the y coordinate is 4 times the x coordinate plus 2. So we're going to multiply these x coordinates by 4 and then add 2. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 2 is 10. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. Now here, 4 times -1 is -4 plus 2. Going back up 2 would be -2. Or you could just look at the pattern, going down by 4, going down by 4, going down by 4, going down by 4 again would be -6. And let's just check that. 4 times -2 is -8. Going back up 2 would be -6. So if the question doesn't give you an xy table, you can just create one like so. So that's one approach we could do. Another approach is actually to use your knowledge of a topic called y equals mx plus c, so the equation of a line. So the equation of a line, if you've got y equals 4x plus 2, the number in front of the x is the steepness, so the gradient of the line, which is 4. So that means the line's getting bigger by 4. Every time you go across 1, it goes up 4. And if you see here, if you go across 1, it goes up 4, and so on. And the plus 2 tells you where it crosses the y-axis. So you could start here at 2, because it says plus 2, that means the y-intercept is 2. And then the gradient is 4, so you go across, and then you go across 1 unit, because every time you go across 1 unit, now 1 unit here is 2 boxes, so you go across 1 and up 4, because the gradient is 4, so you go across 1 and up 4, across 1 and up 4, and plot the points that way. Or you could do the xy table, it's really whatever you prefer. So in terms of our first point, -2, -6, as you can see here, -2, -6 doesn't actually go on the grid. So our next one, -1, -2, so -1 across, -2 down would be there. 0, 2, 0 across, 2 up would be here. 1, 6, 1 across, 6 up would be there. And 2, 10, 2 across, 10 up would be here. You could use that approach using the xy table, or that knowledge of y equals mx plus c, so the y-intercept is 2, and if you go across 1 unit, which in this case is 2 boxes, you go across to here, up 4, across 1 unit, up 4, and so on. And then you can find the points that way. So here we've got our points, now we just need to do a nice straight line through them. So get our ruler and pencil, and draw a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. So that would be the graph of y equals 4x plus 2. So we've drawn that graph, y equals 4x plus 2. Okay, now if we have a look at part B. Part B says use the graph to solve 4x plus 2 equals 0. Explain how you've obtained your answer. So here, if you notice, we've got 4x plus 2. And if we go back up to the graph we were given in the question, we were asked to draw y equals 4x plus 2. So the 4x plus 2 part is the same. But here, instead of having y, we've now got that's equal to 0. So in other words, we want to find where 4x plus 2 is equal to 0. In other words, where y, the height of the graph, is equal to 0. So y is equal to 0. So y equal to 0, that's going to be this line here. So all the points with a y coordinate of 0, so such as 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0. So if you draw the graph y equals 0, or in this, actually, it would be the x-axis, and find where that y equals 0 line crosses the line y equals 4x plus 2, where it crosses would be the value of x. So here, x would be equal to negative 0.5, because this is 0 and this is minus 1, so in the middle will be minus 0.5. So x equals minus 0.5, so minus 0.5. Let's explain that. And that's it. I've just explained that x equals minus 0.5, and the reason, as y equals 0, so as y equals 0, the solution will be where the graph crosses the x-axis, in other words, where the height of the graph is 0, and that's it. Okay, so let's have a look at question number 15. So part A says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 2x, and using values of x from negative 2 to 3. So we want to draw y equals 2x. So again, we could use the y equals mx plus c approach. So that's knowing the gradient of this line is 2. So that means for every 1 we go across, 1 unit we go across, we're going to go up 2 units. And because it doesn't have a plus or minus anything, that means it's going to cross the y-axis at 0. So that means it's going to pass through the point 0, 0. And then if we go across 1 unit, we go up 2 units. We go across 1 unit, we go up 2 units, and so on. Alternatively, we could do an xy table, so x and y. We want to choose values of x from negative 2 to 3, so negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's our xy table. I'm just going to get a ruler and draw a line like so, and like so. So that's our xy table. So to find the y coordinate, we're going to multiply the x coordinate by 2. So we're going to multiply all these numbers by 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So we've got the coordinates of our points. So this is going to pass through this line, y equals 2x will pass through the points, negative 2, negative 4, negative 1, negative 2, the origin, 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 4, and 3, 6. So let's plot them. So if we have a look at our grid, we've got our grid here, and we need to plot these points. So let's plot them, the origin, 1, 2, so 1 across 2 up, 2 across 4 up, so 2 across 4 up, 3 across 6 up, so 3 across 6 up, negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2 would be there, and negative 2, negative 4, so negative 2, negative 4 would be there. So we've plotted our points. Now we're going to get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. That's our line y equals 2x. So we've done part A, and then if we go down and have a look at part B, and then part B says draw the graph of y equals negative 3 on the grid. So we want to draw the graph of y equals negative 3. So there are all the points with a y coordinate of negative 3, such as 0, negative 3, 1, negative 3, 2, negative 3, and so on. And as you'll see, they make a horizontal line passing through negative 3 on the y-axis. So you go to negative 3 on the y-axis and draw a nice horizontal line through it. So let's do that. And then part C says write down the coordinates of the point of intersection of the two graphs. So we've got this line, and as you can see, they intersect here. So this point here, and this point here is the point negative 1.5. It's in between negative 1 and negative 2. So negative 1.5, negative 3. So minus 1.5, minus 3. So that's the coordinates of the point of intersection. That's the coordinates of that point, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 16. So question number 16 says, on the grid below, draw the graph of y equals 6 subtract x. So we want to draw the graph of y equals 6 subtract x. Now again, we could use the y equals mx plus c approach. So that's knowing that a straight line in the form of y equals mx plus c. M is the gradient of the line and the c is the intercept. Now if we have a look at this, it's not quite in that format. We'd need to swap around the 6 and the negative x. So we'd have y equals, and instead of minus x, we'd have minus x there. And then this 6 would then write as plus 6. So this, if we rearrange it, would be y equals minus x plus 6. So the gradient of this line, the number in front of the x, well, it says minus x, that's strictly speaking minus 1x. So the gradient of this line is minus 1. So for every 1 you go across, you're going to go 1 unit down, 1 unit across, 1 unit down. And then it crosses the y-axis at 6. So the y-intercept would be 6. So we can plot the point 0, 6, and then go across 1 unit, down 1 unit, and so on. Alternatively, we could do an XY table, so an XY table. So let's do an XY table, so we've got X and Y, and let's just choose some values of X. So I'm going to choose 0, 1, 2, 3. So we've got 4 points here that we're going to find the coordinates of. And to find the Y coordinate, we're going to do 6 subtract the X coordinate. So we're going to take all these numbers away from 6. So 6 subtract 0 is 6. 6 subtract 1 is 5. 6 subtract 2 is 4. And 6 subtract 3 is 3. So that means the graph of y equals 6 subtract x will pass through the points 0, 6, 1, 5, 2, 4, and 3, 3. Now we need to draw the graph, so let's plot them on the grid. 0, 6, so 0 across, 6 up. 1, 5, 1 across, 5 up. 2, 4, 2 across, 4 up. 3, 3, 3 across, 3 up. And as you can see, those points are on a nice straight line. So if we get a ruler and pencil, we can draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. That will be the graph y equals 6 subtract x. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 17. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 17. So question number 17 says, draw the graph of y equals 4x minus 1 on the grid below. So we want to draw the graph of y equals 4x minus 1. So let's make a little xy table, x and y. And let's choose some values of x, such as 0, 1, 2, 3. And then to find the y value, it says to find the y coordinate, we're going to multiply the x coordinate by 4 and take away 1. So we're going to multiply all these numbers by 4 and take away 1. So 4 times 3 is 12, take away 1 will be 11. 4 times 2 is 8, take away 1 is 7. 4 times 1 is 4, take away 1 is 3. And 4 times 0 is 0, take away 1 is negative 1. So that means the graph of y equals 4x minus 1 will pass through the points 0, negative 1, 1, 3, 2, 7, and 3, 11. Okay, so now let's plot these points on the graph. So 0, negative 1, 0 across, 1 down would be there. 1, 3, 1 across, 3 up would be here. 2, 7, 2 across, 7 up would be in between 6 and 8 there, in the middle there, 2, 7. And then 3, 11, 3 across, 11 up would be there. So we've got these 4 points and they're in a nice straight line. So if we draw a nice line through those points, that'll be the graph of y equals 4x minus 1. So let's do that. And that's it. That's the graph of y equals 4x subtract 1. And we've drawn that on the grid. Now, just to mention that we used an xy table here, we could have used the y equals mx plus c approach. So looked at this and said, well, it crosses the y-axis at negative 1. So negative 1 there. And then the gradient of the line's 4. So that means that if we go across 1 unit, we've got 4 units. So in terms of our units, that'll be, we're here at negative 1. We're going to go to 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So across 1 unit and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And that's it. Okay, so let's have a look at our next question, question number 18. So question number 18, we've been asked to draw the graph of y equals 4 subtract 3x on the grid below. So we need to draw this graph. We could use the y equals mx plus c approach, where we know that the y-intercept will be 4, and the gradient of the line is negative 3, because these are the other way around. So it's normally y equals mx plus c, so the m will be minus 3, and the y-intercept is 4. So it crosses the y-axis at 4, and then in terms of the gradient being negative 3, you go across 1, down 3, across 1 unit, down 3, and so on. Alternatively, we could do an xy table, so x and y, and let's choose some values of x. So I'm going to choose 0, 1, 2, 3. So to find the y coordinate, we're going to do 4 subtract 3 times the x coordinate. So we're going to multiply all the x coordinates by 3, and then take the answer away from 4. So 3 times 0 is 0, and then 4 take away that answer of 0 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3, and then we're going to do 4 subtract 3, that's equal to 1. 3 times 2 is 6, and then we're going to do 4 take away 6, which is going to be negative 2. And then finally, if x is equal to 3, we're going to do 3 times 3, which is 9, and then 4 take away 9, which is negative 5. So we've got the coordinates of the points, 0, 4, 1, 1, 2, negative 2, and 3, negative 5. So let's plot them on the grid. So 0, 4, 0 across 4 up would be here. 1, 1, 1 across 1 up would be there. The height of it's in between 0 and 2, so there. 2, negative 2, so 2 across 2 down would be there. And then 3, negative 5. Just move them down a bit. 3, negative 5 would be here. So we've got our points. You can see they're a nice straight line. So let's get our ruler and pencil and draw a nice line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. That's the line y equals 4 minus 3x. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 19. Question number 19 says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 10 subtract 2x for the values of x between -1 and 5. So again, this is the way around. So if we were to rearrange it, it would be y equals minus 2x plus 10, just putting this at the front and the 10 afterwards. Then if we look at it, because in the form y equals mx plus c, the gradient would be -2 and the y-intercept is 10. So it crosses the y-axis at 10. And because the gradient's a -2, it means for every 1 unit you go across, you go down 2 units and so on. So you could use that approach. Alternatively, we could do an xy table. So let's choose our values of x. I'm going to choose 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to find our values of y, we're going to do 10 take away 2 times the value of x. So we're going to double all these values of x and then take the answer away from 10. So 2 times 0 is 0 and 10 take away 0 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2 and then 10 take away 2 would be 8. 2 times 2 is 4 and then 10 take away 4 would be 6. And finally 2 times 3 is 6 and then 10 take away 6 would be 4. So we've got the coordinates of our points, 0, 10, 1, 8, 2, 6, and 3, 4. So let's plot them. 0, 10 would be here, 1, 8 would be here, 2, 6 would be here, and 3, 4 would be there. And now we just need to draw a nice straight line through those points. And that's it. That would be the graph of y equals 10 subtract 2x. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 20. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 20. So question number 20 says, on the grid below, draw the graph of y equals 3x minus 1 with the values of x between 0 and 5. We could use the y equals mx plus c approach, the equation of the line, where the gradient is 3 and the y-intercept is -1. So it crosses the y-axis at -1. And then for every 1 unit you go across, you go up 3 units. So we could do it that way. Alternatively, we could use an xy table. So values of x, I'm going to choose 0, 1, 2, and 3. And to find the y coordinate, we're going to multiply all those x coordinates by 3 and then take away 1. So 3 times 0 is 0, take away 1 would be -1. 3 times 1 is 3, take away 1 would be 2. 3 times 2 would be 6, take away 1 would be 5. And then 3 times 3 is 9, take away 1 is 8. So we've got the coordinates of our points, 0, -1, 1, 2, 2, 5, and 3, 8. Now we just need to plot them. So 0, -1 would be here. 1, 2 would be there. 2, 5 would be 2 across 5 up would be here. And finally, 3, 8, 3 across 8 up will be there. And then we're going to get a ruler and pencil. They're in a nice straight line, so that's great. We're going to get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. That will be the line y equals 3x subtract 1. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 21. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 21. So question number 21 says, on the grid below, draw the graph of 2x plus y equals 10. And so we want to draw the graph of 2x plus y equals 10. So there's a few different ways we could do this question. One way is to just do an xy table for this, 2x plus y equals 10. So we could write x and y, and we can choose our values of x. So I'm just going to choose 0, 1, 2, 3. And now if we want to find our value of y, well, what this is saying is 2 times the x coordinate plus the y coordinate is equal to 10. So 2 times 0 is 0, and then plus the y coordinate, plus this number has to be 10, so this number has to be 10. Okay, next, if x is equal to 1, so 2 times the x coordinate, 2 times 1 is 2, plus this number has to be 10, so that means that y has to be 8, because 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay, now if x is equal to 2, 2 times the x coordinate, 2 times 2 is 4, plus the y coordinate, so that'd have to be 6. And finally, if we have a look at a pattern here, 10, 8, 6, I'm thinking this would be 4, let's see. 2 times the x coordinate, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 4 would be equal to 10, so that would be 4. So we find the coordinates of these points, 0, 10, 1, 8, 2, 6, and 3, 4. And then we could just plot these. Also, I mean, there's other ways we could do this question. Another approach would be, here we've got 2x plus y equals 10. We could write 2x plus y equals 10. We can make y the subject by taking away 2x from both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, we're taking away 2x to get rid of the 2x, so we'd just be left with y. And on the right-hand side, we have 10 take away 2x, so 10 take away 2x. And then we could do the xy table for this. So saying the y coordinate, this y coordinate, is 10 take away 2 times the x coordinate. So we could do 2 times all these numbers numbers and then take those answers away from 10, and that'll give you the y coordinates. Alternatively, you could even turn this around and write y equals minus 2x plus 10, because we've got minus 2x in the 10, so we can just turn those around. And that's telling us the y-intercept is 10 and the gradient is negative 2. So that means for every one you go across, it's going down 2. And that's it. So now we've got our points, we can plot them. Okay, so 0, 10. So 0, 10 would be here. 1, 8, so 1 across and 8 up would be there. 2, 6, so 2 units across and up to 6 would be here. 3, 4, 3 units across and up to 4. So that would be there. So we plotted those 4 points. Now we're just going to get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So get the ruler and pencil. And that's it. That would be the graph of 2x plus y equals 10. And that's it. So that would be the graph of 2x plus y equals 10. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 22. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 22. So question number 22 says, on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 4x minus 5 for values of x from negative 2 to 2. Now here, if you have a look at the grid, you'll notice it doesn't have an x or y axis drawn for us. So sometimes you have to draw those axes yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an xy table, xy, and we're going to go from negative 2 to 2. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. So there are x coordinates. Now let's find the y coordinates. So the y coordinates are 4 times the x coordinates, take away 5. So we need to times these numbers by 4 and then take away 5. So let's start with 2. 4 times 2 is 8, take away 5 would be 3. 4 times 1 is 4, take away 5 would be minus 1. 4 times 0 is 0, take away 5 would be negative 5. 4 times negative 1, well, that'd be negative 4, take away 5 would be negative 9. And let's just see here, we're going down by 4 each time, so this should be then minus 13. And let's just check it. 4 times minus 2 would be minus 8, take away 5 would be minus 13. So we've got our xy table, that's fantastic. Now we need to draw a set of axes. Now in terms of our axes, in terms of our x-axis, we need to go from at least negative 2 to 2. So we need to do that horizontally. And then if we look at our y-axis, so vertically, so we need to go from at least negative 13 to 3. So I'm now going to draw a set of axes and then let's have a look at them. Okay, so to start off with, I've drawn the x-axis and the y-axis. I've placed the y-axis in the middle of the grid, so as you can see, there's the y-axis in the middle of the grid. In terms of the x-axis, I was going to put that in the middle of the grid, so here, but then I looked at the numbers in our table, and we're going from negative 13 to 3, and I've actually just moved it up a little bit, just to give us a bit more space for these negative numbers, in terms of these y-coordinates that are negative, going down to negative 13, so it just gives us a bit more room. Okay, now what I'm going to do is consider our scale. So in terms of horizontally, well, we need to go from at least negative 2 to 2. So I'm thinking if this is the origin here, I'm thinking let's let that bit there be 1. So 2 boxes across would be 1. Another 2 boxes across would be 2. Another 2 boxes across would be 3. Now we only need to make sure we go up to 2, but I've just done 3 anyway. And then if we go across left here, so going to across 2 boxes would be negative 1. Going across 2 squares would be negative 2. And going across another 2 squares would be negative 3. So we've covered at least from negative 2 to 2. So here we've actually got from negative 3 to 3, actually a bit more, negative 3.5 to 3.5, but we've got the negative 2 and 2 that we need to have in this question. Okay, now let's look at our y-axis. So in terms of our y-axis, we need to at least go up to 3 and down to negative 13. So let's think of a good scale for that. So I've actually started by looking at below the x-axis because I need to go down to negative 13. If we go down on ones, this will be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. We're not going to have enough space there. We need to go down to negative 13. So I'm going to go down in 2s here. So this is going to be minus 2, then minus 4, minus 6, minus 8, minus 10, minus 12, minus 14, minus 16, minus 18, and so on. So we need to go down to at least negative 13, and as you can see, we've done that. Okay, now let's go up vertically. So we need to obviously think of above the x-axis. So we need to go to at least 3. Now we are going up in 2s here, so this will have to be 2 here, and then 4. So we've gone up high enough already, 6, 8, 10, and then 12 there. So that's it. We've drawn our x-axis and our y-axis and we've labelled them, and we've got good scales. So going across horizontally, we're going from negative 3 to 3, and that's a bit more than what we need to do, but we've covered what we need to do. And vertically, we're going from negative 18 up to 10. And then the question, we need to at least make sure that we go from negative 13 to 3. So we've got that covered as well. Now, in terms of the axes, this is the set of axes that I've drawn here. You don't have to do exactly the same. You just need to make sure that you can plot all the points on your grid and that you're using a sensible scale and that you're going across in the same amount each time and up and down in the same amount each time. Okay, so let's put out our points down. So our first one, negative 2, negative 13. So negative 2, negative 13. So we've got negative 2, negative 12, negative 14. So it'll be negative 13 there in the middle. Negative 1, negative 9, so negative 1 and then down to negative 9, which would be there. 0, negative 5, so 0, negative 5 would be there. 1, negative 1, so 1 across and then negative 1 down would be there, exactly on the 1. And finally, 2, 3, so 2 across and 3 up, which should be there. And as you can see, this points a nice straight line, which is fantastic. Now we just need to get a ruler and pencil and draw a nice straight line through them. So let's do that. And that's it. So that would be the graph of y equals 4x minus 5. So y equals 4x minus 5. And that's it. We've drawn that graph. Okay, let's have a look at our last question, question number 23. So question number 23 says, on the grid, draw the graph of 3x minus 2y equals 6. And again, we've got to draw axes ourselves here. So in terms of drawing this, well, we could do an xy table. So we could do x and y. And it's a calculator question, so that's going to be quite handy. And it doesn't actually tell us what numbers to go from in this question. So I'm going to do negative 2 to 2 like the last question. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. So what this is saying is, it's saying that 3 times the x coordinate, so 3 times this number, take away 2 times this number, will be equal to 6. So let's work out each one of these. So I'm going to start off with 0. So 3 times 0, well 3 times 0 is 0, so we've got 0. And I'm just going to do some working out here, or on the side. Minus 2 times y, so minus 2 times y, will be equal to 6. So I've just substituted 0 into here. So that's giving me 0, take away 2y equals 6. Now I want to solve this equation to work out what y will be. So what I'm going to do is 0 take away 2y would just be minus 2y equals 6. And then I'm going to divide by minus 2. And if you do on your calculator, 6 divided by minus 2, y is equal to minus 3. So that means that we would have 0 minus 3. And let's just check that. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract 2 times minus 3. Well, 2 times minus 3 would be minus 6. And minus minus 6, well, 0 minus minus 6 would be 6. So that's right. Okay, next one, if x is equal to 1, well, we've got 3 times x, it's going to be 3 times 1, which is 3, minus 2y, so minus 2y equals 6. And now we just want to solve this equation. So I want to find out what the y is. So I want to get rid of this 3, so I'm going to minus 3 and minus 3. So if I take 3 away from both sides, I'll be left with on the left-hand side, minus 2y equals. And then on the right-hand side, 6 take away 3 would be equal to 3. And then we want to find out what y is. We just need to divide by minus 2 and divide by minus 2. And on our calculator, if we do 3 divided by minus 2, we get that's equal to minus 1.5. So that means that this would be minus 1.5. And let's just check that. If I do 3 times 1, that's 3, minus 2 times minus 1.5. So double minus 1.5 would be minus 3. So we've got 3 minus minus 3. And 3 minus minus 3 is equal to 6. So that's fantastic, we've got 2 points. Let's work out some more. So here, if x is equal to 2, 3 times 2 is 6, so 6. And then minus 2y, so minus 2y would be equal to 6. Well, actually, just looking at this, 6 take away something is equal to 6. Well, this would have to be 0. So this is y is going to be 0. Y would be equal to 0. Let's just check that. 3 times 2 is 6. Take away 0 is equal to 6. So that means that y is equal to 0. Now, if we have a look here, we're going up by 1.5 each time. So if we add 1.5, we get to minus 1.5. If we add 1.5, we get to 0, and so on. So if we take away 1.5, this should be minus 4.5. And taking away another 1.5 should be minus 6. And let's just check that. I'm just going to check this last one here. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. So 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Is minus 6. And then subtract 2y will be equal to 6. We want to find out what y is, so let's get rid of this minus 6. So let's add 6 and add 6. So on the left-hand side, we'll be left with minus 2y. And on the right-hand side, we've got 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. And then if you divide by minus 2, 12 divided by minus 2 is minus 6. So that's it. So that's how we could do an XY table on that question. It's a bit messier than some of the other ones, but that's a bit of a trickier graph to get the coordinates for. Alternatively, what we could do is actually make y the subject. I'm just going to go down to the bottom of the page here and write out make y the subject. So we've got 3x minus 2y equals 6. And if we make y the subject, we could even use the y equals mx plus c approach to find out the y-intercept and the gradient, and that could actually help us as well. So if I want to make y the subject here, I'm thinking, well, at the minute it's minus 2y, so I'm going to add 2y to both sides of the equation. So on the left-hand side, we had 3x minus 2y. We're adding 2y, so it's just going to leave us with 3x. And on the right-hand side, we had 6. We're adding 2y, so that'll be 6 plus 2y. Now we want to get what y is, so we don't want this 6 here, so we're going to take away 6 and take away 6. 3x minus 6 would just be 3x minus 6. And then on the right hand side we had 6. We're taking away 6 to get rid of it, so we'd just be left with 2y. And then finally, I'm just going to write this out here the other way around. So we've got 2y equals 3x minus 6. We just need to now divide everything by 2. So we divide everything by 2, we'll get y is equal to half of 3x would be 1.5x. And half of 6 would be 3, so minus 3. So the equation of the line would be y equals 1.5x minus 3. So that means it has a y-intercept of minus 3. And as you can see here, whenever we look at our table, you can see it does have a y-intercept of minus 3. And also, it means for every one you go across, it goes up 1.5 because the gradient is 1.5. Now we need to draw axes. And if we have a look at our table, we're going from negative 2 to 2 in the x-axis. And in terms of the y-axis, we just need to go between negative 6 and 0. So let's draw a set of axes and see what they would look like. Okay, so in terms of our x and y axis, I put the y axis in the middle of the grid because obviously we're going from negative 2 to 2. In terms of the x axis, I've shifted it up a bit because in terms of our points, they've all got heights except for 2, 0. The rest of the points are below the x axis, so I've just given myself a bit more room down here. So now in terms of our scale, we want to go from negative 2 to 2 in the x axis. So I'm thinking again, if we use 2 boxes to be 1, so that's going to be 1. Another 2 boxes to be 2, another 2 boxes to be 3. And I'm going across the other way, so that's going to be minus 1, go across 2 boxes, minus 2, and go across 2 boxes, minus 3, or 2 squares. So we've done our x-axis. Now in terms of our y-axis, we need to go from 0 to negative 6. So let's focus on below the x-axis to begin with. So 0 is here. If we go down on 1, so it would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. So that's what we needed there, and I'm just going to carry on. And actually, in looking at it, we've gone down to negative 11. If I had actually moved this up one more square, I could have actually taken 2 boxes to be 1 going down, which would have been quite handy because if you actually look at our y coordinates, we've got some 0.5s. But again, the question didn't actually tell us what axes to use. They didn't give us a set of axes drawn for. So, in terms of this question, I could draw this and it's fine because I'm plotting all the points that I need to. Okay, and then in terms of going up, remember we're going up in 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so now let's plot our points. Negative 2, negative 6. So negative 2, negative 6 would be here. Negative 1, negative 4.5. Negative 1, negative 4.5 would be there. 0, negative 3 would be there. 1, negative 1.5. 1, negative 1.5 would be here. And 2, 0 would be there. And all those points are nice straight lines, so we can just put a nice straight line through them, and that's it. And that's the graph of 3x minus 2y equals 6. And that's it. And that's it. So these have been the video solutions to the Corbettmaths Practice Questions on drawn linear graphs. I really hope you found this video useful. And if you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.